Oh, okay. Aditi's back.
Yep.
All right, Aditi, welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Good to see you again. Anything pop in your head about this Browns-Bengals game that you didn't share with us earlier in the week?
Good morning. Gosh, you sound really excited to see me, Jay.
Listen, I'm thrilled to see you. It's good afternoon. It's good afternoon.
Jay's got one foot.
Was that like the most
Aditi.
low-key? Like,
That was low-key. Let me explain something to you.
What else do you have to say?
Here's what happened. First of all, we wrapped up with Robert Smith. It was a little awkward because he froze up right at the end, so we were a little off kilter. And Jay's got one foot in the parking lot. He's going on vacation this afternoon.
Yeah.
So he's counting down the minutes till this show's over today.
Hey, where you going, dog?
I see. So you're basically telling me don't take it personally.
Yeah.
No, he's just telling you.
Aditi, now wait a minute. You know my affinity for you. You know this.
I mean, but you're like leaning back.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Hey,
Bull hit it. Bull hit it. He's
got
calling it 1 foot in the parking lot Thursday.
Hey, Didi, just talk for 4 minutes and get us closer to 1 o'clock. That's what Jay's saying.
Is that it? Does it matter what I talk about, Jason? Or
No, whatever you want. Just fill 4 minutes and get us closer to 1 o'clock.
I was singing your praises on the show earlier today when I said that even the calm, level-headed voice of reason Aditi was on this show earlier saying, I don't get it. Know who you are. You're a run team. Why does Nick Chubb have 16 carries?
It's a wrap.
So we had an over-under. Was he going to get 20 carries this week? No. And I said, yes, he is, because they're going to listen to what you were saying. You're speaking common sense.
Jay, nobody listens to me. Come on, my husband doesn't listen to me. My children don't listen to me. You think Kevin Stefanski is suddenly going to listen to me?
If he's smart, he will. If he's smart, he will.
Is that a statement on my children and my husband right there? I live in a actually, my husband just doesn't listen. He just doesn't hear me. Even my 3-year-old the other day said to him, Daddy, Mommy already said that. And my son is just a born negotiator. So he just argues for the sake of arguing. Yeah,
that's bad when you get called out by your kid.
Your 3-year-old kid.
Yeah, but it's not like he heard her either. So there's selective hearing.
But that's a male thing. Like we hear what we need to hear. And
right. So do you think Kevin Stefanski needs to hear me say feed the ball to Nick Chubb, or does he just kind of like?
He needs to hear you say that because he's not listening to anybody else.
It's really so easy for all of us, considering that the Bengals are coming to town. I spent 9 or 10 games with the Bengals last year, was as bullish on them as I could be outside of I didn't think they were great in situational football. But other than that, I mean, huge fan of the Bengals and the way that they played. But in that Super Bowl, we've talked about this before, Adam, so I apologize to bring it back up. But there were 2 3rd-and-1s and 2 4th-and-1s. 2 in the first drive when they went for it, and 2 in the final potential game-winning drive, where the Bengals didn't have their Pro Bowl 225-pound running back on the field. So forget, not giving the ball to Joe Mixon. They didn't even have him on the field on these key 3rd-and-1, 4th-and-1s. And that's in the Super Bowl, the biggest game ever. So it just sort of feels like we're saying this so much. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball more. I mean, you talk about the Ravens early on, it was like, why aren't they running the ball? You talk about the Steelers, and it's like, what's going on with their run game? It's just, as much as we love sitting here and talking about newfangled offenses and spread offenses, and it's a different game, and it's a wide receivers game, at the end of the day, what is that line? You throw to score, you run to win. That's what the line is.
I mean, I agree with you that Mixon should have been on the field. However, the Bengals were throwing to win. But you could throw to Mixon. It's worse for the Bengals.
You needed half a yard. I mean, you didn't even need a foot. You needed,
I hear you, but he throws. They put it on Burrow a lot. You know that. They put it on Burrow a lot in those situations.
Yeah, but fine. I mean, he works better when the run game is actually opening everything up.
Agreed. And Mixon should have been on the field. I don't know that it's an apples-to-apples comparison. In fact, it's not with the Browns because...
No, it's not, but I'm just saying in general that we always say, it always boils down to, at the end of the day, no matter what you say, just about everybody can be found to have needed to run the ball more or run the ball in certain situations.
Sure.
And it just feels like we in football are moving away from that. And I don't really, unless you're Mike Vrabel and the Tennessee Titans, and I just don't really understand why.
But
like,
I do think that it's getting these last 2 games, Nick Chubb hasn't gotten the ball enough. I think most people would agree with that. I think overall, in his time in Cleveland with Stefanski, I don't think that's been an overarching problem that he hasn't gotten the ball enough. There are games where it's happened.
Right, and I think that that's an issue sometimes too, is that you know that this is a run-first team, that you know that everything is set up off of the run, the play-action pass game, all of that. So issue only, there may be some players that prefer to play in a different style offense, okay. It's just a little befuddling. I mean, but look, at the end of the day, it's never one thing. We're looking at Kareem Hunt right now, and I know we talked about this before, and I said that everybody should always listen. Do you think that he should be traded?
I would wait till after the Bengals game, personally. If they lose to the Bengals, I would trade him. If they beat the Bengals, I would not. That's how I feel about it.
No. And everybody else is in agreement with you?
We talked about it earlier. Aditi, my thing was the value now, what you're going to get in return for him, isn't worth losing him. I do want to see what the offense can be with Chubb and Hunt, however ineffectively they're going to be used, with Deshaun Watson on the field at the same time, because maybe
if they can get a
they
third-round
strike
pick
lightning. You're not going to get a third-round pick for him now. I don't think you are.
The Panthers got a second-round pick, a third, and a fourth, and a fifth for McCaffrey. I don't think there's a huge gap between McCaffrey and Hunt.
Well, you're also talking about a couple weeks earlier in the season.
I hear you.
If you trade him after the Bengals game, you're literally getting him for half a season.
But what's the difference?
The price goes down.
But ultimately, you're acquiring McCaffrey not for these regular season games. You're acquiring for the playoffs. Same thing.
And McCaffrey's value is higher.
It is higher, I agree, which is why you're not going to get a second-round pick. But I don't think it's that big a difference that you couldn't get a third-rounder.
I just, I have a hard time thinking that the Browns are completely, totally out of it just yet. Simply because there's no one that's really... I mean, there's nobody in the AFC it's exactly as I said on Tuesday, and I hate to repeat myself, but it's just about getting into the dance. Right. And we know that this is a streaky game and that somebody can get hot, and sometimes it's just success begets success. Confidence begets confidence. And sometimes it's just one game that can be a catalyst in some way. When my stomach growls, can you guys hear that?
No.
Does the microphone pick that up?
No. But you know what? They took my garbage can. We don't have the garbage can anymore, so we can't throw the bottles.
I don't know who moved the garbage can, but I appreciate it.
Punished like children around here. Just taking the garbage can away.
Aditi, I think you're right, and that's why I wouldn't trade Hunt now, because if they beat the Bengals and they're 3-5, that's a different story. At 2-6. The odds of them making the playoffs at 2-6, when they're now 3 games back behind Cincinnati and don't have the tiebreaker. I know you could get a wild card or whatever. At 2-6, it's nearly impossible, especially when they have a tough schedule. Go ahead.
You know what? I need somebody to put this team on his back. That's it. And I'll go back to the Titans game, and I apologize because obviously that's the game that I just called, that I was part of the crew on this weekend. And Derrick Henry. And now I think it's 4 straight games with 100 yards. But going into that game, Derrick Henry had 3 straight games with 100 rushing yards. And I'd asked Todd Downing, the offensive coordinator, I said, what changed? What turned him on? And he said, you know what? I think he just realized, screw it, I need to carry this team. And I'm not saying that that's Nick Chubb. I think defensively, Myles Garrett just needs to put this team on his back and say, okay, someone has to wreak havoc, and that's it. And that's me. And I need to make everything impossible. And if I need to take Joe Burrow down 4 times, okay. And those are things that are contagious and infectious. And you see somebody come to work that way consistently. And this is what we keep talking about with Myles. Like, we know that in those moments, in those flashes, he can compete with the best linemen out there. But I need to see it week in, week out. This is a guy that's taking over a game, and that's that. And I'm just waiting on that. You need one. Again, like, I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. And on one hand, football is about puzzle pieces. Every single puzzle piece has to fit. It's never just any one thing. But on the other hand, you can sometimes have that one player that's up here that just raises everybody else's level by virtue of his play. Not by screaming, not by saying I need to do it, not by stomping his feet, just by going out there and doing it.
I don't think it could be Nick Chubb, because you have to hand him the ball before he can be that guy.
Do we just simply overstate the talent on the team? Did we just think the talent was a little better than what it actually was?
I'm not ready to say that. I don't think so. I don't. I really don't. I don't look at someone and say, well, gosh, he's slower than I thought he was, or his lateral speed isn't what I thought it was. It just still feels, I don't want to call them MEs. I don't want to call them mental errors because I don't actually know. It just feels like they're not playing with that swagger that you thought that they would have. They're not playing with that confidence. They're not playing with that shutdown mentality. I don't know. Again, which is why I say I think at some point somebody's just got to say enough already. You're going to ride me. And I mean it, like, I mean it defensively more so than offensively, because to your point, Jay, at least with Derrick Henry, they know they're going to give him the ball 20 to 30 times. We don't know that Nick Chubb is getting the ball 20 to 30 times.
Yeah.
Aditi, I've actually used him, Derrick Henry, as an example of, because it looked to me like the tread was starting to come off the tires a little bit earlier in the season. And, hey, the Browns, I think, are doing this so that doesn't happen to them. What's the Titans' philosophy with him? Just run him, and then when there's no tread left, we're going to go find another Derrick Henry? Because I said earlier this week, like, maybe that is the answer. Just run Nick Chubb until he can't run anymore, and then you're going to go find Jerome Ford, you're going to go find another back and plug him in and go.
That's been the way.
I mean, look, Mike Tomlin did that for years, right? Isn't that exactly what Mike Tomlin's philosophy was? Whether it was Willie Parker or Le'Veon Bell or whatever, we're just going to run I think he even was quoted saying that about Willie Parker, I believe. We're just going to run the tires off of him, or I don't know exactly. Maybe, Anthony, you can find it for me while I keep talking, and we can spell another 2 minutes for Jay. But I appreciate, look, at the end of the day, if you know that a coach has your back, you're going to have his back. At the end of the day, every team that has success feels to some degree that their leadership cares about them off the field too, cares about them as human beings. And I think that there's a great statement in the fact that the Browns care about Nick Chubb and they want to do what they can to elongate his career, to extend his career. But I think that the Titans look at Derrick Henry and think that he's special. And they don't think that all the regular rules apply to him.
Well, and he's so different. His body type is so different.
Correct. And so... And they also know that at the end of the day, Derrick Henry wants to win more than he wants to have a 20-year career.
Aditi, that's you just hit on it. I wish so badly that Nick Chubb wasn't a closed book. I would love to have a sit-down interview with Nick Chubb and ask him what his thoughts are on this, because I think his thoughts do matter. Would you? Because when
he'll never tell us.
No, he wouldn't, and that's what drives me nuts.
He's smart.
Whatever coach needs, whatever the team wants.
And that's great, but I also know he's got a mind, and the wheels are turning. And am I assigning my emotions to him when they show him with his overcoat on in the fourth quarter, not in the game? I know how I would feel. What the hell am I doing here? I want to be out there where I can make a difference. I want to win. Does he want to win? I'm assuming he does. He performs his job with the utmost pride.
Every practice rep, Nick Chubb takes the ball and runs to the end zone. You know, these are practice reps. They just have to tag you, and then you're out, and you're done.
Right.
Every single one, he runs to the end zone. And I remember talking about this with Jacoby Brissett, and he was like, why does he do that? Like, he doesn't need to do that. He does that because that is how driven, that is how competitive, that is who Nick Chubb is, and that is what his desire is.
I think he's right in front of our eyes.
Am I projecting? But I think all the evidence shows that, Nick Chubb inside somewhere is seething in some way because he wants the ball. But this is the dilemma of every great player. And it's funny, I remember having this conversation with Antonio Brown once, and he was legitimately, sincerely saying to me, why is it wrong that I ask for the ball? He said, I'm not trying to be a distraction. I'm not trying to be a diva, but I legitimately believe that every single time, I don't know that he said legitimately, but he said, I believe every time the ball is in my hands, I have the chance to score. So why would I not want to help my team and score? And that's why I'm asking for the ball. I see that I can beat my man, or I believe in myself that much. That's what I'm doing. And there's so much truth in that. You want guys that raise their hand. You want guys that beat that ball in that key moment. Michael Jordan was not giving that ball up to somebody else. He wanted to take that shot. That's what you want. But yet we also beat into these guys that there's a selfishness to that. Right. It's finding that right balance of saying, hey, pick me. Hey, pick me. I'm available. I can do it. I believe in me. And yet not turning somebody off. And Jay, certainly we can talk about this in our business too. I mean, I know as a reporter, I have said, hey, I'd love to do this interview, or I believe I can be on the field here, or you can count on me in this moment. And it's being seen as a squeaky wheel. Like,
or I should be doing play-by-play for a Major League Baseball team, which is absolutely true, and I'm better than almost everybody out there. But and I totally believe that, and I could prove it, but I won't be given a chance. But anyway, to be fair, Nick Chubb, second and fourth quarter rushing attempts last year, second and fourth quarter rushing attempts this year, and probably the only reason he's not first is because they have Kareem Hunt, who's almost as good a back as Nick Chubb, and is a significantly better pass-catching back. And as much as I agree there are times I'd like to see Chubb out there, unlike the Bengals, who don't have a good second back, so they should never take Mixon off, the Browns at the moment have a great second back, and he is a significantly better pass catcher than Nick Chubb.
Put them out there together.
But they don't use.
Okay, but they do use him in the fourth quarter. As little as Nick Chubb, as little
I'm
as
talking about Hunt.
As little as Hunt has played, okay, we complain about, and I complain about it too. As little as Hunt has played in the fourth quarter, he is, I believe, fifth, and he is fourth. Nick Chubb is second. Oh, let me just double check this. Hold on. Nick Chubb is second in fourth quarter rushing attempts.
Should be first.
And Kareem Hunt is fourth. No, the reason he's second is because of Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, but you know what? That's
second and fourth, so how bad
it's not
can it
like
be?
they're in position to close out a game either. You know, like he would have more fourth quarter carries if the Browns were up and closing out a game.
Exactly.
You know,
if they're winning in the fourth quarter, he gets the ball.
Right.
I think that's how they drew this up, actually, was have the lead in the fourth quarter and give it to them and let them put it away. They can't get the lead.
Well,
that's the problem.
well,
they can't get the lead in the fourth quarter. They're always playing from behind.
The Jets game, they had a nice lead.
They did have a lead in the Jets game. And Atlanta, they had the lead.
And we weren't complaining about Nick Chubb getting the ball in the Jets game because he got the ball plenty in that game.
No, there were other things to complain about.
Although it was funny, early in that game, the Jets backs actually had more rushing yards. It took a while for the Browns backs to get
You're right, they did. What's your confidence level? We did a confidence meter to start this show. I think
I was the highest at 5.
Yeah, about the Browns.
Your confidence that the Browns will beat the Bengals. G. Bush and I brought down the average. We're a 2. Where are you?
I'll give it a 5.
Thank you.
Okay.
Come on in. The water's warm.
Well, I'm a little more optimistic now because the 2 smartest people on the show give it a 5.
Oh boy.
I gave it a 4.
If you're putting Kent State in the same class as the Ivy League.
Yeah, this is such an any given Sunday thing. Like it really, you know, and I don't, the Bengals are indeed playing better. They're getting their stride back to some degree. They do have so much talent. As Adam and I talked about a few weeks ago, he believes it's the most talent in the division. All of that, I get it. But, I mean, how many crazy things have we seen this season?
Well, Tampa Bay and Carolina.
Sunday, or in this case, any given Monday. I mean, does Halloween, the energy of Halloween, does that do something? Does the urgency of Adam saying this defines your season right here? Does Kareem Hunt saying, I don't want them shipping me out of my hometown? Who knows? I don't know.
Aditi, you mean you didn't have Carolina after they traded McCaffrey, putting it to Tampa Bay? Everybody saw that coming, didn't we?
Can't say I saw that. Can't say I saw the Steelers beating Tom Brady. Can't say that I saw
and the Bears over the Patriots.
Who you got tonight?
You know?
Who you got tonight, Tampa or Baltimore?
I think Baltimore. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'd just like to see Baltimore win, but
well, we would like to see Tampa
Baltimore
win.
I hate Baltimore.
Okay, Aditi, where are you this weekend?
I'm in Detroit. I have the Miami Dolphins at the 1-win Detroit Lions.
Wow. Okay, very good. Enjoy the game.
But hey, you know, I'll get to see Mike McDaniel. I'm excited about that. We'll see Tua, second game off, return. And he is a very exciting young player. There's a ton of speed there, and I'm curious to see that up close and in person. So I'm eager to see it. I think the Dolphins are a playoff team, so.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What'd you say, Adam?
Can you text me and let me know if Amon-Ra St. Brown is playing?
I will try to remember to do that. And if I don't, you message me. You give me. He is a lovely, lovely, lovely young man.
I've heard that about him.
Delight to talk to.
Yeah,
yes,
I've heard that.
Really, truly a delight to talk to.
Listen, because my introduction to you on this program was so underwhelming today, I'm going to go over the top as we say goodbye.
Do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we say goodbye to the one, the only, the greatest sideline reporter that's ever been, Aditi Kinkhabwala.
Hey, there we go.
We lose credibility when we go.
Stand ovation.
Yes, they're not standing. We're standing. That's it.
We're not worthy. Aditi, we'll see you next week.
See you later.